to all the dispossessed youth of Africa, for perpetuation of communion with ancestral spirits through the fight for African freedom, and in the firm faith that the dead, the living, and the unborn will unite to build the destroyed shrines. Selah. Hello and welcome, beloveds, to another episode of Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you're moving into living life truly on your own terms. You know, special shout out to our Patreon family. We appreciate, love you so much for all the support you give us on that platform. Definitely consider joining us there for $2 a month minimum, where we share much more information and we have a much more personal interaction. But those are definitely stories for other days. You know, special shout out also to our Ethiopian brothers and sisters. We are standing firm with you. Thanks for all the love. Yeah, on Twitter, etc., etc. It is what it is, beloveds. It is what it is. And from all the interactions I've been having with my Ethiopian brothers and sisters, I felt it's important to remind ourselves of why Ethiopia is being invaded, beloveds. Why is this happening? Because we know how they're doing it, how this is literally like, first and foremost, a propaganda, propaganda war and information war. And that's what a lot of my Ethiopian brothers and sisters were saying. Why can't we just want the truth of the situation to be shared, not the bias of Babylon, for their interests? But as I've done a show, please watch it when I release it, talking about how it's not about world peace, it's about world interest, beloveds. That is what is ruling and reigning at this time. But the why, you see, why is Ethiopia the only country that Italy attacked, that Rome attacked? Why has Rome always had their eyes on Ethiopia? Why do they have in their possession hundreds of thousands of Ethiopian manuscripts and artifacts hidden away? Because the story that they've built their entire global kingdom on, because the Roman Catholic Church is all about man, is based on the Ethiopian story. And by the way, Ethiopia was about Africa. Ethiopia was Africa in Kemet, but it was the majority of Africa. And there's a guy who went and wrote a book called Utopia, where he talked about like the perfect world. And it wasn't a fantasy out of his mind. It was what he witnessed and experienced while he was on the motherland. And that kind of created this whole, explorer vibe and people wanting to come to Ethiopia, aka Africa, to experience this paradise on earth for themselves. But those are definitely stories for other days. But beloveds, what has always been in contention is the Ark of the Covenant. I've talked a lot about the Ark of the Covenant. I've talked a lot about how it could have been handed over. Well, that's what our elders say, that it was handed over from the current Ethiopians, well, what Babylon calls as Ethiopians, to Kenyans through the Tana River. Very long story. And that could explain why we have thousands of British army armed to the teeth, beloveds, by Mount Kenya. But also Ethiopia, is the Ark of the Covenant in Ethiopia? Is that what is in contention? You see, we may not respect our ancestors. Well, the majority of our people may not respect their ancestors because of miseducation. But Babylon doesn't play that game. And I was reading through the comments, and there's someone like Julius Caesar, someone even shared this, that without Ethiopia, Rome could not survive. And there's also, the Jesuits, beloveds. They've always been after Ethiopia. Because they say if they don't spiritually capture Ethiopia, then they haven't spiritually captured the world. And they are the ones running things right now. We have the first black pope, as in the Jesuit pope, as the pope, the white pope. Like, this is what many call the end times, but there are many spiritual dimensions to why Ethiopia is under what we see like a Libya situation right now, why they're facing an Iraq situation right now. And I'm not saying that the situation is all peace and love within the borders, but when the enemy attacks, everyone needs to unite and get rid of the enemy. But beloveds, there are some sacred, very powerful, can I call them tools, in Ethiopia that they've always wanted. They wouldn't even be able to handle if they got, beloveds. And this whole thing is a spiritual thing more than a physical thing. Because you see, as long as Ethiopia has not been invaded, then they represent like, how do I put this? They represent like the whole of Africa. They are the final frontier, beloveds. And they're going for this whole neo-colonization vibe. And they want to pass through that. But it's more spiritual. It's about spiritual dominion more than physical dominion. Because they captured the story spiritually, where now most people even think the Queen of Sheba was a Mzungu. To the point where now they want to literally capture the place physically. But it's all about the Ark of the Covenant. And the Ark of the Covenant is something they don't even fully understand, beloveds. And the videos that I had shared on that, you can find them on my website, drmumbishow.com, or on Library, Odyssey. I'll try and leave the link below. They're looking for something that they will never find, beloveds. Ethiopia, which represents all of us, can never be conquered. But we should wake up and take seriously what's going on. And as I said, when you read the seasons and the times and you see this, it's important to stand with Ethiopia spiritually by giving them, your energy or the victorious vibes, but also prepare yourselves. You should be seeing so clearly the signs of the times. Because the renaissance of Africa cannot be stopped, beloveds. The restoration of Ethiopia cannot be stopped by any force. It's like orders from above. Their orders are here, but these orders have come from above. They can't stop that. They're not even on that vibration to overstand it. And you know what? I don't want to get too into, is the Ark of the Covenant in Ethiopia? Is the Ark of the Covenant in Kenya? I know where it is. So I'm not going to get into that debate. But what I will say is that they want it so bad, but it's not even on this dimension. It's not on this plane. You have to literally go through gates to another dimension to get it. And they don't get that. They can't penetrate that dimension. It's not even here. Even the people that are protecting it, the spiritual beings, and the beasts and the serpents and the dragons that are protecting, it's just they can't get it, beloveds. Because let's say we're on the third dimension, which is very dense, very physical, where you think the physical is more real than the spiritual. That thing was pulled by our high priest, beloveds, to the fourth dimension. Literally, they cannot get it. They never will. But that's what this is all about. They have to give that final push, that final attempt. And look at all the superhero movies. Can't even speak. Look at all the like all these, which is the one where they did like the Earth, where there was this cube. I can't remember the different names. Is it the Avengers? Look at the Avengers series. Look at the Tomb Raider series. And what Ethiopia should tell you is that we have many treasures that they have wiped from our memory across the continent. That's why we saw what happened in Mozambique as well, where it's a ruby belt, but who knows if it's just a ruby belt, because you see, wherever you have gems, you have highly spiritual beings that dwell there in that beauty. But those are stories for other days. So what they're getting, they can't. But this is spiritual. As they launch a physical attack, best believe they've also launched a spiritual attack. And they've been launching that spiritual attack from the mental for at least the last year. It's not about the rebels. America doesn't care about us. They don't care about whether we're at peace or whether we're at war. And we need to start doing some adulting when we're looking at the politics of the day and the messages that they're trying to give us. Tuko pamoja.